Okay. Back to work. I've got 3 more trailer patterns to place in, and also a gazebo. And I think I'll start working on the gazebo at the moment. Should start about right here. And this one has a short path which leads up to it. One, 2, 3, 4. Okay. What to use? I'm going to use acacia planks for the floor of this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Two, three, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so hopefully I can get this pattern right. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. Maybe I should put in the walls, or at least part of the walls in. This plus spruce. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. That's one of the entrances. 4. Might be a slight bit bigger, but this should be the parameter of it. It's a fairly large gazebo. Okay, so the pattern for the gazebo is down. And the next one I'll start on this end over here. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18 inward from the road. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this one has the bedroom facing towards the road. Bathroom here. 2. And this one also has a design where the front door of the trailer is in the hallway as opposed to them being off to the side over here. So it sort of makes this area look a bit larger. Okay, so 2 more. And I can sort of use some of these on the other side of the road to sort of gauge where they should be. This one I'll work on, the one right here. It's right across the road from this. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 inward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is where the bedroom is, right in this area, and the kitchen area is right here. Right next to the bedroom area. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. With the front door being out. Should be a little bit in. 2, 3. About right here. Okay, something is slightly off. Oh, right here. 4 and 4. And there's a window about right here, a small one. And there's a large one about right there. Okay, one last one, and then all the patterns will be in. So, 1, 2, maybe here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 inward. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Six. One, two, three, four, five, six. And this also has a front door in an interesting place. This time it's right by the bedroom door. One, two, three, four, five, six. Two inward. 1, 2. Front door about right here. And a small window here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Large paneled window about there. I think I like it more when the door is roughly about right here, or in this area right here, since it allows an easier use to these two larger areas, but this isn't so bad. The kitchen for this house in the Project Zomboid game is right here, with the bedroom being right next to it. Okay, so all the patterns for the trailers are now in, including the gazebo. And this gives a good view of how the trailer park will look for the most part. For right now, I'm going to now place in trees and also higher grass. And at least with doing it this way, I don't have to worry about the trees damaging anything because I can adjust everything as needed. For the most part, I'll be putting spruce in down. And the areas that I'm placing birch or oak down are generally areas that there's not that many trees. So I'm not going to place spruce in those areas just yet. There's not too many trees to begin with, but I want to at least make sure that where there are tree lines, I'm placing the spruce down first, since they tend to be a bit more finicky of the trees and growing in. And now for this next part, I need to go all the way to the end because I've got a long tree line I've got to place in. Well, basically I need to go and build this tree line from this highway all the way to the back. Now I'm just doing the tree line for the moment. I'll do all of the tree work in this area right here off stream. It's not exact, but I should be getting the trees about close enough to give a good representation of what's in the Project Zomboid game. And this won't show the depth of it because, as I said, it's going to go back much further. But I just need to place in this line right here to show roughly where the tree line starts. Okay, and now I've got to do the tree line along the back side of these trailers. So now I just need to go around, start placing some of this grass in, and I've got another set of trees I've got to place inside where the trailers are. But for the most part, there's not any trees in this area. I'm placing this grass right here, so it won't interfere with anything. Some areas where I placed in some trees right here, I won't place in the grass in just yet. I want to place in the birch and oak and let them grow before I do those parts. What I'm concentrating now on are areas where there's just going to be grass. And both ways of building these houses generally work. This depends upon what you see first and how the build works around it. Sometimes it's easier to just go ahead and place down the framework for what you're working on and just build these other things such as trees, which can be using this method is a bit more random since I don't know exactly what type of trees the saplings will generate. I know roughly some of them, and that those tend to be the birch trees and the spruce trees, but mostly those you can gauge roughly what you're going to get because the difference between those trees are usually just in size of the tree. Or, well, size as in how tall the tree is. The variants tend to be in terms of height. Whereas an oak tree, you could get a short tree, you can get a tall tree. And there's no telling what you're going to get at times, from what I can see. There's going to be more grass, but as I said, I'm going to hold off on some of it until I've placed in all of the trees involved. Okay. Should be most of the grass that I can place in for the moment. At least until some of these trees are in. Tree lines I'm not going to worry about, but I am going to accelerate the growth of the trees around these trailers patterns, or the trees that will be on these trailers once the trailers are fully in. In terms of visuals, sometimes it's easier to place in the house first, sometimes it's easier to place in the environment. Just depends on what you're doing. With this one, it's does and doesn't matter. As long as the patterns are for the house are in, I can wait on to build up the actual trailers. Since I'm doing this based on another design that is Project Zomboid. If I were doing this for an original design, that would make a huge difference. Sometimes you want to build up the environment first, sometimes you want to build up the house first, and which one you do first can make a huge impact. Sometimes it's best to build them up together. Just depends on what you're working on. With one, if you build a house first, then you end up molding the environment around it towards the house, or to fit in the area. Whichever one you build first, you tend to build the second one, and the third one's after it, or things after it to fit in with that area. At least that's what I've found. Working on this, or working with the PC Minecraft that I'm even more used to working with. Generally, placing birch trees and oak trees they don't have a problem with growing. Birch trees, because they tend to be smaller than the oak trees, so they tend to find places to fit in or places to generate in, although they will destroy certain blocks above them regardless. They will destroy tree blocks, so in other words, if you plant one tree beside another one, you can expect that the leaves of the original tree will be destroyed and replaced by the new tree being generated in. So this also has a huge impact as to which trees you want to place in first. Although, as I said, spruce trees do tend to be a bit finicky about how they generate in. So that will alter. They'll go in, most likely, but they tend to be a bit finicky about how long it takes them to generate in and what type of tree generates in. If you spur them along with bone meal, it might take quite a few hits before it actually generates a tree. And in some cases it won't generate a tree at all. And most likely I believe that is probably because when it's looking through the different types of programs looking through the different types of trees it can generate in, it can't really find anything that'll fit. And if it can't move the blocks out of the way, it won't generate in. Usually won't. They are constantly updating the game, so it's kind of hard to tell exactly how it's going to be in the future. They may change it. As it stands now, it's typically easier to put in the spruce trees first, even if that means it's easier for the leaves of the spruce tree to be destroyed by new trees that are generated in. But you can always go back and alter the leaves individually. Those are all the trees I was going to work on. Now I'm just going to go back and use bone meal on the oak and birch trees that I've planted, or birch saplings that I've planted. And the position of the trees will make an interesting puzzle to get through, where you can easily get caught up. In the Project Zomboid game, you can move through them. It just slows you down, and so this sort of happens in this one too. Where you get into situations like that over there where some of it's blocked off. Of course, it doesn't take very much to destroy leaves of the game, even in survival. Yeah, this right here will give the claustrophobic feel that you can somewhat get from Project Zomboid. When your field of view is drastically cut down while around trees, and you never know if there's a zombie on behind the next tree. should be roughly how it's going to look, just without the trailers all built up in the walls. And this is just with the patterns, the grass and trees. And also some of the tree line has come in quite nicely, so it'll show roughly how it should look. I'll go back later and I'll start filling in those areas behind the trees and also the tree line, and also place in birch trees along the edge as well. But this gives a good view of it and how it should look. So it's much easier to imagine exactly the end result from now. So I'm going to start work with the gazebo. I'll place the roof in first, and then I'll see how it looks on the interior to see how I should adjust it. roof on this one is pretty tall. Even in the Project Zomboid build. Now this one is a situation in which both the top and the bottom are the same. So, actually, I might rip up the floor and swap out dark oak. That's one option at least. But I need to take out this acacia. It's not going to work for the floor. Second option is to make it a bit brighter with this. I think the dark oak would be better. Sometimes alterations like that need to be made. Sometimes it's really hard to actually see what should be there, and when you first build it you might think, well this block works well, but as you're building it you might think you might have something else works better, basically. It really comes down to preference, since, well, really, the oak works as well, but it just depends on what you're shooting for. So it's a matter of visual preference, really. Okay, so the gazebo's in, but now I need to do something about this roof. I'm going to keep it more open and use these as beams. And where they cross, I'll put down a pillar. Not quite what's in it, but I think it should complement it. Now to handle the underside, because I don't want that right there, since otherwise it would be just these squares up. So I'm going to place stairs on the underside, and this will help round out the under part of the roof, so it's not quite so squared out. I probably should have done this first before putting in the putting in those beams. But really the only problem is with that one area right there. The rest should be pretty easy. And there, that takes care of the inside. And one thing I can do is extend this upward. And in some areas it will be taller than others. That's not too much of a problem. This should have been right here, so let's see where I made a mistake. And that's why this one was a little bit weird. But this isn't too bad to fix. Okay, now that works out a lot better. And some torches up here. And that's the interior and exterior of this gazebo. Okay, so I'm going to do a flyover of what I've worked on this time. And then once I've done that, I'll point out, well actually while I do flyover, I'll also be pointing out what I'm going to be doing next time as well. I started by placing these patterns in. And I also did the trees and grass patterns into this. Four different types of trailers. Two of the larger ones, two of the smaller ones. Two small ones being with only 2 rooms, the larger ones being with 3. And also this gazebo right here. What I'm likely to be working on during the next stream is I'm going to be putting up the walls, the doors, the windows, ceilings and roof for all these trailers, and that's probably going to take about a little bit over 2 hours. Since there's quite a few here. There's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, really that many? Maybe it's easier to count from the map. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22. There are 23 trailers for me to work on. So that likely will take up all 3 sections of the next time I stream Project Zomboid. And if not, then I have a farmhouse that I need to be working on a little bit up the road here. So either I'll be doing that or I'll be switching off to the other side of the road and working on maybe the logging camp and have that area excavated. Or maybe the factories. This depends. But this area will be pretty much almost done. So thank you very much for watching, and that is it for now.